Hi, I'm Shirley Jones, and this is Gemma Winger's Hollywood.
Academy Award nominee for The Godfather, so that's probably what you're best known for.
Boy, I'm pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, and 4-time Golden Globe Award nominee.
Yeah, I never win anything. It's just like getting awards and no jobs. I'd rather get a job. They're going to give me a piece of glass.
I know.
can't eat
You
the
eat
glass.
regular
Oh,
that way.
nice.
God bless. Thank you.
God bless you. You take care.
How about a kiss goodbye? Adios.
Hello, I'm Martin Landau.
Hi, I'm Florence Henderson, and you're watching Gemma Winger's Hollywood.
Roberta Linn has so much to tell that we couldn't get it all in one show. So this is part 2 of my interview with actor, singer, author, everything extraordinaire, Roberta Linn. So thank you so much for watching. I know you're going to be excited about the wonderful things that she talks about. You're telling me that in the 1960s, you almost passed away. You almost died, and you had an out-of-body experience.
I was working here at the Chi-Chi Club, and I got pneumonia in both legs. And so bad, my mother had to put me over the bed and pump me till they got there to get me to the hospital. And I got through that, and then I was supposed to go in with Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, because we were going to do a picture together. And I missed that, so they put me in with Danny Thomas. So I went to Vegas and did the Danny Thomas, open for Danny. And then I got pneumonia again in both lungs. And they had to fly me back to Cedars of Lebanon Hospital. And during that time, I got so very, very sick that I had an out-of-body experience. I was on the ceiling in my room, surrounded by beautiful lights. And I looked back down, and I saw my mother, who was holding me in her arms and crying and saying, "Roberta, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me." But I want to tell you, it was such a comfortable place. I was out of pain, but I kept looking at my mother and how much anguish, saying, "Please don't go." I was my mother's bread and butter, and I thought, oh God, I'm so comfortable up here. I could see somebody's face at the end of the tunnel. It was like a really bright, bright, bright light. And I could see somebody's face, but I couldn't see the face exactly. But I could see my mother, and I could see everything that was going on in the room. Father Montoya was saying last rites. My mother was crying over me. And, I finally said, I can't do this. I can't leave my mother. Not now, Lord. I got too much to do. I got to go back down and help my mom. And I woke up in my mother's arms. But while I was in the hospital at Cedars, in my big fan book, I have article after article, every TV station, every radio station, everybody was praying for me. That's how popular our show was, and how much, how close we got to people. Klaus used to say to me all the time, I'm going to say this as I'm looking in your camera right now. He said, remember, when you're singing, you are singing to one person in their living room, and you are becoming their friend, and you are singing to them. He said, don't take your eyes off the camera. You look right into that camera and sing to those people. So it became a personal relationship. And his guidance, and he's the one that gave me my own show. Today, whenever I do a show too, I like to look in the camera so that people that are watching know that I'm talking to them. It's a personal relationship.
That's powerful.
With you being here, but also people that are watching the show that we're filming today. I want them to know that I'm talking to them and expressing my gratitude for a lifetime of wonderful things in show business. I've had the most wonderful life.
That's beautiful. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that it had anything to do with the fact that you felt like you needed to be back with your mother, that God kind of sent you back, that like your desire was, I really need to be back with my mother, and you made that decision and that actually influenced God in sending you back?
I absolutely asked him. I said, I can't leave my mother. My mother needs me, and I need to go back. I've got to go back and help my mother. And I'm sure, because I was very comfortable. I was out of pain, and I could see somebody at the end of the tunnel, but I couldn't see the face. I could see an image, and being in that space was extremely comfortable. I was out of pain.
Wow.
I was out of pain.
Because you had that pneumonia.
Yeah, I was very sick. I was very sick.
And then God healed you after that.
Well, you know what? God sent the head of UCLA Medical Clinic. Somebody got a hold of him, and he came in, and he said, get her off all this medicine. The medicine is killing her. And I found out they were giving me a drug now that was called chloramycin. Remember that drug? It's a dangerous drug. It shouldn't be taken more than once in 3 years. But because I'd had both years right close together, they were giving them to me again and didn't realize they were actually killing me.
Oh my goodness.
So when he came in from UCLA, he took me off of that and put me on another drug, and I started to heal right away. But that was a miracle. I mean, there was
so
a
the medication was actually killing you.
It really was.
That's what was killing you.
And that's a very dangerous drug. It can only be taken maybe once in 3 years. If you take one series of it, you can't take it again for another 2 to 3 years, something like that.
That is just so interesting. So the drug was killing you, and you actually had this out-of-body experience, Father Montoya was giving you the last rites.
Right.
And you saw an image, and then in your heart, you just knew you had to go back to be with your mom, and like God sent you back, and then he sent a doctor who had wisdom what to do and what was wrong.
Amen.
So even in spite of the fact that the medication was killing you, God kept you alive, and he kept you strong until they got the information that they needed to get you off of these drugs.
And he also got me back to help my mother. Because my mother I think my mother would have died if I died.
Well, you have such a giving heart to think about your mother's needs over your own needs, and you probably did that your entire life.
Well, Mom and Dad divorced when I was very young, and my mother was left with 2 kids to try to raise. Times were tough. That's during the old Depression, during that time. And my mother, God, I can remember she had to change the grease pan on the car. She got under the car, took the grease pan on. She had more grease on her than she had in the car, but she fixed it.
Wow.
But because she had to, she was a single mother. My grandmother was alive at that time and did help my mother a bit until she passed away, but very interesting time in my life.
Now, you've written 2 books. One, Not Now, Lord, I've Got Too Much to Do,
Right.
and Champagne Lady, Roberta Linn.
Now, these are on Amazon.
So you can buy these on Amazon.
Yeah, it's the same story.
Same story.
This was my original thought. And then the company thought the Champagne Lady had more value on the shelf because of the Welk Show.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
But this was my original thought. Not now, Lord, I've got too much to do. That's what I was saying to myself to get back to my mother. I got to get back there, God. I can't leave this world right now.
No, that's a very powerful title. I really feel it when you speak it, when you say it. So it says it's your memoirs. What's it about?
Well, it's...
oh, wow, look at these pictures.
Yeah, that's my wedding night.
How cool.
with
So you
Freddie.
married Freddie Bell.
Freddie and I took Louis Prima and Keely Smith's place after our children were born. They offered us 5 years, 42 weeks a year at the Sahara. I did 18 years.
So you headlined in Las Vegas.
Oh my, for a long time. On my own. I worked with Marjorie McGower Champion. This is Mickey Rooney. We did the first MS Telethon. This is a big concert that I did down in San Diego.
Look at you, gorgeous. I don't know if you can see that, but look how gorgeous.
Oh,
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow.
Well, God's been very, very good to me. You know, I didn't realize how many magazine covers I was on. People have been sending me magazines with me on the cover. I did Can Can with Ricardo Montalban. I did a world tour with Bob Hope with Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne.
Here are you with Lawrence Welk.
Yes, I know. And Ronald Reagan asking me to dance right here.
Oh my
goodness, yes. And was he gorgeous?
Oh yeah. Wow, look at you.
Yeah, there's some good pictures. And
what is the main message that you're trying to convey in your book?
First of all, nothing happens in your life if you don't believe in God and God's will. God is beside you all the time. God pulled me through all of this. God has let me live this long. Not many people. I'm going to be 95 years old April 30th.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. I didn't realize how old I was until somebody gave me a birthday party. Don Sadler has a beautiful home down here on Clancy Lane. And they threw a party for me. And when they announced that I was 90 years old, everybody, including me, went, ah. I never thought about my age.
I think you're the same age as Terry Moore. She's also 94.
I know. Carrie's a good friend.
Yeah, she's adorable.
I know, yeah.
She's adorable. But I wanted to ask you, what does the life of a successful singer look like? Were you on the road a lot, singing every night, nightclubs?
I did a little of everything.
A little of everything.
Yes, I opened the shows for Bob Newhart in Vegas. I worked with Danny Thomas. I worked with Margin Gowery Champion. Nelson Riddle did my music. Edith Head did my gowns. Charlie O'Kern,
wow.
My first day, Charlie O'Kern staged my act.
Well, what's the hardest part of your profession, being a singer, of what you did? What was the most difficult part of that?
Being on the road can be lonely.
Yeah.
You know, staying in hotels, and I used to sleep with the TV on. I still do. It's a habit. Because I was afraid in the hotels, you know, alone. I wasn't alone all the time. My mom, bless her heart.
She was with you.
Yeah, she was with me.
When did she pass away?
She passed away in San Diego. I had a 5-year contract with SeaWorld.
You sang at SeaWorld?
For 5 years. Yeah,
wow.
I was in their...
Las Vegas to SeaWorld.
Yeah, in their nightclub, and I did concerts with the huge orchestra, the concert orchestra. And it was during that time I bought a house in San Diego, then my mother passed away. I took her in the hospital one day, and she was gone the next. And that was... I had a terrible time with that. Then I eventually moved back over here. But I really missed her because she was my strength. She did my bills. She did everything. All I had to do was go up and sing and bring home the money. She helped me with the kids, you know, when they were little. And yeah, she made clothes. And some of the videos that I have, they show some of the designs she did. They were absolutely gorgeous. And she was just a little bit of everything. She could do everything and do it good. You know, she wasn't just partially, she did it really good. When she made a gown, it was gorgeous.
Just like you, when you sing, it's gorgeous.
Well, you know, I'm a lyric singer. A lot of people love their note. You'll hear a tenor and he'll hit a high note, and he loves that note.
Yeah, you can see
and
that.
He hangs on to that note forever, but there's not a word with it, okay? I'm a lyric singer. When I sing a song about a man I love, I really get into the lyric, you know.
Like more acting
right.
involved.
I'm gonna love you like nobody's loved you. Come rain or come
Put
shine.
your emotions
Yeah, you
into
gotta
it.
mean what you're singing. You just can't. I read something the other day where it said that musicians that play songs should know the song when they're playing it so they understand the feeling.
Exactly. That emotion comes through in the
Absolutely.
performance.
If you have like Vito Musso is my son's godfather. He was with Stan Kenton, and he had a huge record with him, and he did Sorrento, and but he was Italian, of course, and he was into all the lyrics and playing it. Really good players. Benny Goodman, Harry James, Glen Miller, Tommy Dorsey. They really made you feel the song. Even though the lyrics weren't there, they just played it so beautifully. And when I had my nightclub down in Newport Beach, I had Count Basie, Woody Herman, Stan Kenton, Lionel Hampton.
What was it like having your own nightclub? What does it take to be successful? It sounds like it's a lot of hard work.
Ooh. Yes. Yeah, you clean the bathrooms, you clean the kitchens, you scrub
But you're
the floors.
the star.
I know, but then you walk out in your gown and do a show,
Exactly.
No, when you own something, it's like having a baby. You change the diapers, and then they look beautiful because you made them pretty. And a nightclub's about the same way. Now, although I must tell you, the guy that leased that to me lives right here and lives in where I was just doing some shows at Mr. T's. His name is Bob Morris. And Bob Morris is a multimillionaire that owns half of all the condos on the beaches and everything in Newport and up and down the coast. But let me tell you something. This guy was the best friend I ever had in my life. We rented that place for $1,500 a month and a big motel. And I had a friend that booked all these big bands, out of New York, and they came from LA to Vegas, Vegas to LA. So I got Count Basie, Sarah Vaughan.
Oh, wow.
Who was very temperamental, by the way.
Hard to work with.
And all these wonderful acts, bands. So and I had them, and I had a motel I could put them up in. So we were the talk of the West Coast. The place was called the Inn Place. Roberta Linn and Freddie Bell's INN Place. We had a house band, great house band, and John Wayne used to come in every night.
Oh my goodness, how
Yeah,
exciting.
the big goose, or wild goose or something, that boat he had anchored down there in Balboa Bay. And Raquel Welch lived right up the hill. She used to come in all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I had a dining room that I could close off late. So if they wanted to go in and have friends and privacy, we could do that. And we still had the showroom and the bar open.
Oh, nice. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I wish that you still had it so I could go.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. And my husband and I did quite well there.
Let me ask you a question. How has faith played a role in your life and in your long career? Your faith in God.
Okay. There was never a time that I walked on stage today, yesterday, that I didn't pray.
Wow.
Okay, I realized that without God's guidance and without God in my heart, I wouldn't have had the career that I've had. And I don't think I'd be alive today at this age if it wasn't for God.
How did you first come to know him? How did you just know there was a God and he was real and he was moving and working in your life if you asked him?
When I was a very little girl and Mom and Dad had divorced, my grandmother was taking care of me. And we lived in Huntington Park, California. There were churches on every corner. And for some reason, when Daddy left, I felt very lonely. And I used to go and sit in the Methodist Church just because I felt good. And I could see the candles and the statues. And it was a feel good. And then I'd go to another church the next time. Mama didn't know I was doing all this. And I have to tell you a funny story. There was black gospel church. And I used to love to go there because I loved the choir. And you know how they sang with the clapboard, making the time in their long robes? Well, I went one day, and the choir was absolutely glorious. And I went home and I said, Mama, I said, maybe I better tell you the truth. Today I stopped in the black church, and the choir was wonderful, but Mama, they were drowning people. I I didn't realize they were baptizing them. I said, Mama, they were drowning people. My mother and my grandmother never got over laughing about that.
Did they explain to you what they were really doing?
Well, they finally told me, but I was shocked. I got running out of there because they had him in this big tub and dunking him in the water and coming up all wet. And I thought, oh my God, I better get out of here before they put me in there. And I got home and I said, Grandma, Gratty, I called her Gratty, Mommy, I know I get a spanking probably. I was in the church, the black church today, you know, and in those days it was okay to say black.
Right,
You know,
right.
I don't mean to be
It's
sounding.
okay today to say black.
I know. But let me tell you, when I told him that, I said, and Mommy, they were drowning people. They never got over that. They told everybody in that, we lived in little courts with little apartments. They told everybody that I told them they were drowning people. But I just loved their music. All the good singers, the girl that did that Dolly Parton song in the movie about Whitney Houston. Oh, what a glorious voice!
And they all started in church.
They started in the
Singing in
churches and the
church.
choir.
So that's where kind of you got your faith in church?
I did. Well, I didn't ask anybody. I felt good. For some reason, God was telling me, go and sit in there, Roberta, and feel good.
Because you were lonely because your father had...
I was lonely, and I felt a connection. There was a reason for me to go in there, you know, and I was taken there by God, I think, you know. And I wrote a spiritual that I would really like to do. It's called "You Look Up to Him, and He'll Smile Down on You."
Oh, beautiful.
Yes. So it goes, I found the way, and you can find it too. You look up to Him, and He'll smile down on you. When trouble heads your way, and you don't know what to do, just believe in Him, and He will see you through. And it goes on and on. I could do more of it.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, I'm going to record it if I can. You know?
Oh, yes, it's wonderful. Now, what obstacles have you had to overcome as a singer, as a performer, truly overcome?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, interesting.
Tremendous amount of jealousy.
People were jealous of your voice, of your success.
Yes. And really, I don't understand it.
Because it's a lot of hard work.
But I let me tell you something. I loved what I've done all these years. I love entertaining. I love singing. I love singing to people, and I love the lyrics that I sing, and I pick songs that I really love. My piano player for years, who can't work with me anymore, he's rather ill, is Bob Corwin, was Johnny Mercer's son-in-law. And we did all of his songs, you know, You're Just Too Marvelous for Words. And then that glorious, glamorous, and that old standby, amorous. And then we did You Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby.
Oh, I love that song.
You know, and then I did all of his Dream When You're Feeling Blue. You know, he wrote some great songs. And my uncle was head of music at Warner's. And he wrote the whole score for 42nd Street, I Only Have Eyes for You, September in the Rain, Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Wait, that was your uncle?
Al Dubin was his name. My birth name was Dubin, D-U-B-I-N. So I'm French and Scotch-Irish, and my other family's from Ukraine.
There's a lot going on in Ukraine right now. They are definitely fighting for
You know, I did a big
democracy,
benefit
their
for them.
rights. No, I didn't.
At my church.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
I had 13 acts, and Linda was there, and we raised quite a bit of money. I did it through the Salvation Army to make sure that they got the money that we raised.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we did. They gave me the
So
whole
let's
church.
go back to the jealousy. How did that affect you, or how did you prevent it from
It still
affecting you?
affects me. There's reasons I have no idea. Why would anybody be jealous of me? And why would I be jealous of anybody else? I'm so happy when I hear a good singer and I see good entertainers. I'm their biggest booster. And that goes for musicians too.
That's the way it should be.
Right. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think some of the new entertainers don't have the history that we have, that have grown up with what we did in show business. And because of that, they don't really have that deep feeling, you know, of what has she gone through? What has he gone through? Why did they make it? Why didn't this one make it? There's not a person that I see that I don't applaud and love and wish them well. It's a tough business, especially today. There's very few places to work. You know, if you stop here and think in Palm Springs, the only two really good venues are the Annenberg and the McCollum Theater.
Oh, Walter Annenberg, his grandson invited me to the prom at Beverly Hills High School.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Greg Weingarten.
Yes.
So he has good taste, right?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Absolutely.
But I was going to ask you, what did you learn from your mother and what did you learn from your father?
My mother used to play piano for me and help me, and my daddy used to teach me my songs. My daddy was the one that really, really got my career going.
Was he still in your life when he left?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He stayed. He came to Vegas the first time he'd ever been on a plane to fly in to see me work with March and Gower. And I broke away. I did 4 costume changes and never left the stage. I did a song called Everything Happens to Me, and my dress fell apart. And then I had another gown on. And then I broke away from that to a leotard. And I did Lullaby of Broadway with the front of my skirt turned into a beautiful tuxedo jacket. And they threw me a hat and a cane up from the pit, and I closed the show with Lullaby of Broadway, which my uncle wrote, you know. And
so your dad is the one who really got your career going?
He really got it going. I can remember the first time I ever sang, he taught me a song called The River St. Marie. And I can't sing it today if you ask me to. But he put me on a table in an Italian restaurant. But I sang that song on that table. And all the people came up and were hugging me and kissing me and talking to me in Italian, you know. And everybody said, oh, she's got to be in the movies. And I think that's when my daddy brought me back and we signed up with Central Casting.
It really hit me when you said when you're talking to people on television or you're singing and performing that you're really speaking to that one person and developing a relationship. And so many people know you, maybe you don't know them, but they know you, your gift, your talent, and your just deep love and caring.
I'm very blessed, dear.
It was so great having you on my show. Thank you so much. You look so beautiful, so young, and you're such an inspiration to so many.
Thank you.